louder.
Alright guys, so today's been a crazy day of gathering parts. So we got this whole side of a car right here, which has this whole aperture panel, which is what I actually need for my Corvette. These things are basically glued on and you can't get anybody to actually take them off. So as you can see, this guy didn't want to take it off, so he literally cut the car basically in a quarter. So we got a fuel tank, we have a front left fender, inner skirt, we got a little piece right there, I got some door stuff, I have a front cradle and a front foam, but we found another guy. He has this thing right here. So this guy was partying. Well, actually, I seen this thing. It was probably like 2 years ago at Streetcar Takeover.
That's right, yeah.
So, and I was like, hey, what's up with this thing? Yeah, I think I had the Supra up there. Maybe that was when the Supra was in parts. Yeah. But you bought this thing, and the guy kind of had it, kind of how mine was, and then he fixed it.
But he did kind of a shoddy job of it. So, yeah. Like the rear fenders, it was literally the same thing. Like it had spun into a guardrail. Yeah. Not like yours. I think you had like the wire guardrail, but it was an actual guardrail, so it was pretty badly beat up. And the rear quarters, he had like spliced two quarters together. Oh wow. And that's actually what I need to do. It was gonna look great. Yeah, not especially.
But yeah, so he had this thing, and you actually did Rocky Mountain Race Week with us. But yeah, I was like, man, I wonder if that guy has any parts off of that thing left over. But it was just crazy because it was kind of a complete car, and then you tore it back apart. Yeah. Yeah, to turn it into this, which is funny because this would be the perfect thing for me to do to mine. Mm-hmm. But now I'm putting it back together.
Well, honestly, I think you'll get more for it if you want to sell it down the road. And you guys do good work. The guy that did it, he was trying to get it sold quickly, and it was a mess. Like it was good from like 50 feet. So I was like, this is the perfect deal to build into this. So
So I mean, my plan is obviously we're gonna drift it. So. Do all that stuff, but man, I bet this thing just feels nuts on the street. I mean, they don't weigh much anyhow. And then, how much does this weigh?
It's 2,700.
2,700, and they're about 3,100 new, like just fully wet. So, 2,700 pounds. So is this Leroy 2.0? Is this?
Everyone's been saying it's Leroy.
Leroy.
I've heard pretty much everything about it. So
yeah. That's what everyone says we should like a Leroy drift car, Leroy 2.0 drift car. Yeah. And we're like,
and part of me, and honestly, like part of me wants to, but part of me doesn't.
Just a full body car is just so nice.
Yeah. So anyhow, the pieces that I'm actually picking up from him is the C6 Z06 front bumper right here, which these things are hard to come by. And then we actually got a OEM front fender right here. Yeah. So you can see the one is actually going to fit on it pretty decent compared to the other one. And had a little bit of, you can see this is some of that repair work that he was actually talking about. But I think it's going to work. It's definitely going to be a little bit better than what we have. So what do you like better, the Tesla or the Corvette?
Oh man, Tesla's a good daily. It's tough to find a car that's, the price range of this, but is as fast. Yeah.
These things are nuts. Is this a performance one?
It's the sleeper. Yeah. So it's one of the ones where everything's the standard, but it's got the performance batteries and motors and everything like that. So
nice. Yeah, I drove one of my buddies. He has a Model 3 performance. Man, it's nuts.
They're nutty,
man. You just take off from a light, and it's just like you're getting shot out of like a lightning bolt or something.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, the Vet would get it in the long run, but 60 foot, this thing would get it all day long unless I had some drag radials on. So
crazy. So, yeah, we're going to pick up these pieces from him. I already have a door, so we don't need that. I wish he had some other stuff, but he already sold some of the other things. But we'll get all that stuff figured out. But, yeah, this thing's cool. Well, I appreciate you selling me some parts, man.
Again, going to a good cause.
Yeah. It is morning around here, and got back late last night. I think it was like 11:30 or something. Hit a bunch of traffic coming back from Denver. So, see, we got this whole situation right here. So we got this whole aperture panel. So this is a steel framed car. So this is steel right here. So we should be able to use David's little like induction heater to potentially pull this whole piece off. Yeah, this was one of the big pieces where I was actually really worried about getting it. There was one on eBay for like $275. And I got a shipping quote from the guy, and he said like $600 to freight this thing to me, which I thought was absolutely insane. But this guy, 50 bucks, cut it off, basically gave us the whole side of the car so we could damage it, removing it ourselves, I guess. So then we got a left side fuel tank, which is the one that was punctured. We got a left side inner fender, which this is off of a base model. So we might have to end up cutting a little bit of this fender right here, but overall it will give us the mounting place to actually mount the headlights. As of right now, I don't have any place to mount the headlights. I got a Z06 fender, but it's kind of silly. This is actually the passenger side. So for some reason, when we picked it up, I think he already sold the other one. I thought he had the driver's side, but it was the passenger side. So we got the wrong fender. I need the driver's side, the left-hand side instead of the right-hand side. But we got some sliders for a Mitsubishi Evo. We have a Z06 intake. We have an extra little arm in the back. We have a CV axle for a project that I'm gonna be working on. We got some ZR1 style like knockoff side skirts that this guy ended up just throwing in. This is the Z06 front bumper, has a ZR1, I believe, style front lip. That looks really cool on there. We picked up the engine cradle, which this is I'm really stoked about this. So the ones on the Z06 are actually magnesium, and one of these ears right in the front where you mount the control arm, like right there, literally just busted off all the way. I smashed my finger too, rolling up the straps. I don't even know how I did that. But so this is an aluminum one. I think it weighs like 12 pounds more, but you know, instead of spending, I think there's one on eBay for $400 plus $200 shipping. This one was $150, and it was just right there. We have the fuel tank little skid plate. We have a driver side window. We have a driver side door, all the electronics and stuff that go in it, as well as a button for the door, because the door that I got, I didn't know it when I got it, but it was like a bare shell, literally like nothing in it. It was just a fiberglass shell. And then I ran across these guys on Facebook Marketplace. So these are a Sparco Grid 2, which is basically the drifting 2, and they're FIA certified. One expires 2022, one expires 2023. So I picked up these guys, and that's where those sliders and stuff come in. So yeah, got a whole lot of stuff for the Corvette. Really bummed about the fender. I thought we were gonna be able to have just a fender party and just be able to put it on. I have a planted seat bracket for the driver's side. I have a front skid plate thing that mounts to the radiator. I have a really, really expensive radiator that I bought. It is a DeWitt's radiator. You can see right here. That will go in there, but it has a really big Spall fan system, and the radiator I think is like twice as thick. So, you know, given the whole drifting situation, I want to keep this thing nice and cool. But yeah, really bummed. One of the pieces that I picked up a couple weeks ago was actually these Carbon Creations ZR1 style front fenders, but you could see they're carbon fiber. Man, they just suck. Like just the edges, like you could just see that line right here. So needs a lot of help to actually get these things to fit correctly on there, and especially since the car isn't 100% to where we could actually just mount it and flex them and do whatever. We were kind of going to use the fender to help us figure out all that stuff. Some of the other pieces that I have for the Corvette that I picked up last week is driver's side door, both mirrors, left and right hand mirrors. I got headlights. The other white one I think is in the back of the car. I have a hood, and I have a rear hatch with glass. So I think literally that's almost everything to put this thing back together. So we got a lot of stuff to do. So need to get that fuel tank in it and see if it'll start. But you know, that'll probably be another video. But yeah, stoked to actually see this thing kind of come together. I thought it was gonna be way worse. We just did a first drive video in this thing, but now I need to actually start working on this thing. So we have this whole panel right here, which is basically what they call the aperture panel. So you can see we got to replace the door, which I have that, but you can see this whole basically inner door skin, which is fiberglass, it's literally glued on, is broken. So I got this the other day, which this is the whole side of a base model Corvette. So this one has the steel frame. This, since it's the Z06, has the aluminum frame. So I think there's like a 300-pound weight difference between them. But need to get this thing basically cut. You can see right here on the edge, there's just some sort of a adhesive or glue or whatever it is, and it's just kind of stuck on there, and it's not going to be a lot of fun to remove it. If you look back here from the back side, you can kind of see a little bit of what it looks like. So I think the bottom should be okay. We should be able to just get a blade up in there and kind of cut through that. This outer piece isn't really tied anywhere. It's mostly, I think, just the inside along this line right here and then right here. So I don't know. It's I haven't seen any videos, haven't seen anybody talking about it. Everywhere I tried to buy one of these from said that they wouldn't remove it just because they don't remove it, and they would cut the side of the car and send it to me, is basically what they said. So I'm gonna get started messing with this, see if we can get this thing off, get it mocked up on old, I think Scarlet is what we're gonna call it, because of the kind of the big scar it has in the side of it. Yes, so removing this quarter panel, aperture panel, rocker panel, whatever you want to call it, has proven to be a little bit difficult. So we tried the piano wire technique, and that actually got a little bit of it off right here, but there's just such a weird angle right here, and it just glued this whole area. So I'm just trying to pull it off of the wrecked car first before we actually pull this panel off right here. So this one, I actually called a guy on eBay. He parts out Corvettes and stuff, and he had an aperture panel listed for sale. So I just asked him, I was like, hey, what's the magical way of getting that thing off? And he said basically an inductor. This thing is an inductor, and basically heats up all the metal, heats up the metal behind whatever you're trying to get it off, and it really helps with removing adhesive, especially with this stuff. So it's not like in the front. So right here in the front, this is like a really hard adhesive that almost chips off and is kind of like, feels brittle, kind of more like a panel bond. Whereas this stuff in the door jamb, if you could see right here, it's kind of gummy, and it pretty much just reminds me of windshield adhesive. So it would make sense that the inductor is kind of the way to get it off. So asked him about it. He said basically, yeah, use the inductor and just kind of put some little spatulas and stuff in there to kind of peel it out. He said it gets tricky with this because this is so thin right here. This back piece right here has a little bit more strength to it, but yeah, I guess we're just going to try getting this thing off. It's definitely going to be a little bit of work. this thing freaking did it. Oh yeah, buddy, we did her.
Got her, bud.
Man, that was kind of stressful for a little bit. There was this thing's like still smoking, I think. How we had to get it off. But yeah, there's a couple little things from the little pry bar, just trying to get it off. But one of the weird things is this piece right here is all aluminum. So when we're using the induction, it doesn't heat that up like it does the metal, or actually the steel of the frame. So like up here, this, you can see how thick that was right there, and it was just glued this whole way. So the heat gun, as well as this thing, so and it's glued on like 2 planes right here too, which is kind of crazy. I don't know, that's weird. It's just a weird setup, but you can see all that glue right here, glue all the way down the top, big old foam guy right here. There's another little nice chunk of glue all the way up. So yeah, I think now I'm gonna have the only video on YouTube of how to remove the aperture panel on a Corvette. If you're doing it on a Z06, you're gonna have a harder time with these. I don't think these heat up aluminum the way that they do steel. I think they do, but I think it just takes a little bit longer. So now this thing gets to go outside to the scrap heap. But yeah, that was probably the best 50 bucks I've ever spent. And it's nice that David has this induction heater too, to actually be able to take this thing off. Because if it wasn't for that, we would have been.
Oh, yeah, we probably would have never got it.
We would have probably
at least never got it off how you're supposed to.
Yeah,
in
one piece. Yeah. So like I said, I was able to find these on eBay, 300 bucks plus 600 bucks shipping. But I don't know. Now we just gotta finish removing the one on here. It seems like there's more glue on this one in weirder spots. But now that we've actually taken it off, we should be able to figure out a good way to get this off without. I mean, it doesn't really matter. We could break this stuff, but I'm just trying to get all this glue and stuff out of here too. Alright guys, so we're just playing with getting this thing mounted right here. This is the front inner fender well. So this is off of a base model Corvette, so I think I might have to just end up trimming some of this. But for the most part, I just had to rip off this factory one, or the one that was on there, just because it was completely trash. And you can see this is how the headlights actually mount right here. So the headlights basically just sit right here in this whole thing. So I do need to glue this thing on, but that will be in another video. And we got this thing off officially. Man, that was a lot of work, but got it all off. There's a little bit of glue still left in here, which I'm kind of leaving just to kind of give us a place to rest actually put it up against it to give us the right panel gaps and stuff. So I think leaving some of that stuff should be good. I'm gonna go ahead and address the elephant in the room, which is gonna be this this guy right here. So this is I guess a little bit of a chunk of the frame is what it is. Somebody said we should call this car Scarlet. I don't know if it was just Scarlet just because, or Scarlet because it's got a big freaking scar in the side of it. So I have an idea of how we're gonna fix this. Obviously we're not gonna like replace the whole frame or anything like that. But I think what we'll end up doing is just kind of cutting this out, getting a piece of aluminum, kind of bending it, and then actually just welding this thing back on. And obviously we'll do that before we put this whole panel on right here, which is why we're not doing that in this video. So again, I'm really proud of actually getting this whole piece off in one piece, basically. From the GM dealership, that front, or that aperture panel would have been $900 plus shipping and freight. And a lot of these parts are just so freaking expensive. So this fender right here, these fenders are $1,700 a piece from Chevrolet, because they have they're basically carbon fiber. Yeah, just an interesting thing, actually, how much money you could save on cars like this, especially kind of being how new and rare this thing is. It's kind of hard to find, you know, obviously the wide body, because everybody with a base model Corvette, as soon as they see a pair of wide body panels come up, they just buy them instantly. So these things are really hard to find. The aftermarket reproductions are they're not of the greatest quality. But yeah, the front fender, I showed you guys the Carbon Creations style fenders right here. Man, these are the ZR1 style. I bought these from a buddy locally. He had a base model C6, and he was gonna put them on there, and was just like, nope, pulled them right back off. So I bought them as like a last resort, just to get this thing together and have fenders and stuff that match on it. It was kind of a silly thing that I did, is when I got I think I already explained it, but the fender's the wrong fender. I thought I was buying a left-hand fender, but it was actually the right-hand fender. So we have a better fender for that side, which I might just end up reselling that thing. One thing I did want to kind of touch on with you guys, though, is the price of, I guess, all this stuff. Everything just gets super expensive when you buy it new. So for example, we'll just kind of go through right here. So you can see that the car, obviously $75,000 brand new, or wrecked and broken, $12,000. This car used on the market, even with a salvage title, I would say would probably be worth about $26,000. If it was like perfect mint condition car, this thing would be worth about $38,000. And because of that issue with the frame on the side of it is why I'm okay with drifting this thing, and that's kind of why I'm okay with drifting a Z06. But just going over some of the costs right here. Aperture panel, $800. I got it for $50. Gas tank, a used one, is $350, and then the one that I picked up off of Facebook, $150. Fender, $1,700. I got the fender and the front bumper together for $1,000. So you can see front bumper and the fender right there. Also, I got a Z06 intake from that guy too, and the $600 for the front bumper is just by itself. No grill, no lights, no clips, no anything like that. So that bumper has a lot of that stuff included in it too. Hood is $600, but for $1,000, I got the hood, headlights, left door, rear hatch, and mirrors. Yeah, you can just kind of see some of the price breakdown of that. So I think total in all these parts, new would have been $7,500, and then used were about $2,700. And then you can see some of the new parts and stuff that I have right here. So total that I'm in the car right now is about $16,500. We are having some sponsored parts come on, or some sponsors coming on board to help with some other parts, as far as discounts and stuff like that. So that, obviously those are going to be added to the bottom of this. But yeah, essentially $16,500 is where we're at right now, and that includes a hydro e-brake, racing seat, steering wheel adapter, all that type of stuff. So a little bit of aftermarket parts in it. But man, I'm excited for this Z06. But yeah, just figured I'd kind of show you guys a little bit more of the money side of things. I usually try to build spreadsheets and do stuff like this. When I build a car, just kind of see where the money went. That way, if you ever do want to sell it or part it out, you know how much you have in it. But also, give you a realistic idea, before you're going to build something, look at what worst case scenario is going to be as far as like buying parts. Like if I can't find an aperture panel on Facebook Marketplace and the guy's willing to cut it off for me, like am I going to have to spend $800 from Chevy to get a new one? That type of thing. So still need some parts for the car, trying my best to find them, but figured I'd get another video out for you guys, showing you guys all the parts that I got for this thing so far, and also removing the aperture panel because there was no videos online of doing that. But if you guys like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're not already, hit that notification bell if you haven't done that already, and we'll see you guys in the next one.